Hi there, Jonny here from JonnyLipshamStudios.co.uk, and welcome to this very special video of this very special series. Welcome to Studio One 4.0. Yes, it's finally here. It's taken about 3 years and 2 days, but we're finally here. So it's very exciting. And you're looking at the start page, and you're probably thinking, great, nothing has changed. Pretty much, you're right. Nothing has changed. They've not done anything to the start page. The only way we know that this is Studio One 4 is the build number at the bottom. Studio One 4.0.0.47704. So we know that this is Studio One 4. That's the good bit. Alright, so let's take a look at the major changes that have taken place. And there are some really, really good ones. There are some fantastic new features that have been brought into Studio One 4. And pretty much, I would say every single one of them has come from feature requests over answers.presonus.com. So if ever you're looking and you're thinking, hey, I would really like it if X feature was part of Studio One. Well, go to answers.presonus.com and go to Studio One feature request thread and put it in there and encourage all your friends who agree with it to vote it up. And that's how it happens. That's how these features get added to Studio One, is that there are lots of features that get put in, and then it's really the most popular ones, the ones with the most vote ups. That's what gets you into Studio One. Alright, so let's go and take a look and see what has happened. So if I go to the song page, I'm going to open this guy over here, and boom, take a look at this. It's all considerably changed. The GUI is quite considerably changed. It's subtle, the difference is, but they are considerable. And you're probably sitting here looking at this going, oh, that's changed, oh, that's changed, oh, that's changed. And you can probably just with your eye, with the glance of your eye, detect a bunch of things that have changed. About 5 or 6, maybe 7 things straight away that have changed. Well, I'm going to address as many of these features as I can, at least a little bit, in this overview video. I'm going to try and get this video to about 20-25 minutes, and I'm just going to show you a little glance at each of the main big features. So here we go. So starting off with the GUI, as you can see, the mixer has had a bit of an update and a bit of a tidy up, which is really nice, so that each of the channels now is really nicely, clearly defined. Inserts and sends and all of that are much more clearly defined. And it looks really, really good. The mute, the send, the monitor and record buttons, they used to be down here, and now they're over at the top here, arranged in this kind of square configuration. And then of course the channels, they've got their numbers on the outside now. The metering numbers are on the outside instead of inside the meter, which means they are just a whole lot more legible, which means the actual meter width itself has been able to kind of reduce a bit and get narrower. So it's a little bit more focused and streamlined. So that takes care of those. And then of course you've got these here, this insert, sends and mix effects indicator. This tells you what you've got going on at a glance. So we've got an insert on here, so we've got a single line. On this one we've got an insert and a send, so we've got 2 lines. Now I'm not using any mix effects engine stuff, but if I were, I would get a little dot at the bottom here that would tell me that I've got something inserted. Like for example, if I go up to here and put in the console shaper, original console shaper that came with Studio One 3, look, now we've got a red dot at the bottom there. So I've got inserts, sends and mix effects engine. And I want to remove that now because I don't want that in there. Alright, so that's how that works. Now, other big feature is track notes. This has been a big feature request. Lots and lots of vote ups here, and I've put in here yeehaw, Jingle Bells, Batman Smells, because I was just testing out how well it works, and it really does. It's fantastic, and the cool thing is you've got an option here to either turn it off or on. And the thing that's very cool about this is that you can have it actually linked to the event view. And as you can see, if I go over here, show track notes, I've got that ticked, which means my track notes show up here as well as in the mixer. So whatever I put in here shows up over here. It's very, very cool. Okay, so staying with the event view for a minute, you'll notice that we've got this guy over here, the key signature of this song. This is in the key of G. This is extremely cool because this now hints at one of the biggest features, which was the chord track concept idea, which you certainly see in maybe a couple of other DAWs, like Cubase, I believe, has one. Maybe even Pro Tools has it. I'm not really sure. But we now have it here. And as you can see, we've got arranger and chords. And I've got this set to follow. And I've got it switched on. But none of my individual tracks are using it at this moment in this particular song. However, I do have another song open. Okay, so we're in this other song, and this is my chord track demo song, I guess you could call it. And what I have here is I have this guitar part, and I've got this Fender Rhodes part. These are just two totally unrelated pieces of audio. And I'll explain what we've got here. So at the top here we have these chord changes, C, A minor, F, G7 and C major. And those came from this Fender Rhodes part here. I can show you exactly how you get what you see on the screen in just a second. So as you can see at the bottom of the track, we've also got C, A minor, F, G7 and C major 7. And we get this by listening to the audio, or rather getting Studio One to listen to the audio and doing something called detect tracks. So if I just turn this mute thing off, let's mute this one for a second. And what we're going to do with this guy here is we're going to do a right click and we're going to look in this context menu, and you see it says here detect chords, and there's at the moment there's no shortcut mapped to this. So if this is a feature that you're going to use a lot, I would suggest you create a shortcut so you can just do this just at a press of a button rather than right clicking and going in the menu to do this. But when you hit detect chords, it works out what the chords are for your piece of audio, and it's very, very cool. And then if you want this piece of audio, the chords from this piece of audio to govern the whole song, then what you do is you just grab this and you drag it up to the chord track, and the chord track puts in these chords in the chord track. And then that means you've now got global chords for your whole song, however many sections that might be. At the moment, the chord track only detects 3 or 4 note chords. So if you've got more notes in the chord than that, it may or may not have a little bit of trouble identifying what the chord is. And sometimes it doesn't quite get it right. It's not flawless yet, but it's extremely good. It's extremely accurate. But it just won't detect anything more than 4 notes in a chord at a time at the moment. And so if, for example, it had got this chord wrong, we could change this. Okay, so let's go into the editor, and let's say this chord was wrong, and let's say what we played there really was E minor. It is in fact A minor. It is correct if we just play it. Okay, so it is by and largely correct, except this is not C major 7th at the end, it's just C major. But I'm not going to worry too much about that. But let's say what we really played here was E minor and not A minor. Well, that's okay. What we can do is we can right click this and we can change it. We can just highlight it, change it to whatever you want. So I could go E minor, and then hit return, and there it is done. Oh, and I've just clicked way over there, didn't mean to do that. And there it is done. So you've got now C, E minor, F and G. Hasn't changed the chord track up here yet though, but that's okay. We know that the real chord is correct, so I'm just showing you basically how you can correct a chord if it's not detected correctly. So I'm going to Control Z that so that we're back to A minor, which is what we want. And that's pretty much how chord track works. So if I was to just basically grab a new song And whilst I open a new song, let's go new song. We'll go empty new song. Whilst we're doing that, I'm going to get my piano on, and whilst I'm doing that, I'm going to add the track, and we'll call it Rhodes. Alright, so I'm just going to quickly record in a few chords, and then I'm going to show you how to detect that. So here we go. Hit the record. Okay, so there we've got our audio, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move that back to there, and move that to there, and let's have a listen to our track. Okay, we weren't playing 105 beats per minute, that's for sure, so let's try and get these so they are more or less lined up. Okay, lovely, nice and lined up. Happy with that. Let's get the chord track open. We've got it set to follow. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to go detect chords. B flat, E flat, F7, B flat 7, E flat minor, B flat. Perfect. 10 out of 10. Well done, chord track. You got that absolutely right. And so now what we want to do is we want this to govern the whole song. So anything else after this, we want this to follow. So we can just grab, drag, doink. And there we have it, B flat, E flat, F7, B flat 7, E flat minor, B flat. Perfect! It scored 100%. So if you're playing with 3-note chords or 4-note chords, like I was here, there's a couple of 4-note chords there, the F7, the B flat 7, it worked perfectly. And it'll detect them absolutely fine. So there you go, that is chord track. So let's get on to some other things that have changed. Coming over to the instruments, you will notice that impact over here looks a little bit slicker and a little bit funkier, as does sample 1. Now the cool thing is these two were also heavily requested for some love, and that is what we've got. We've given these guys some love. So let's go and open this guy up, and let's just find a kit. And this is incredibly loud. Let me go to my mixer and actually go and adjust that, because that was incredibly loud. Okay, let's reopen this. So all of these weird and wonderful wacky effects. Now this is the new look impact called Impact XT, and you've got different banks of sounds now, which is great. As many banks as there might be for a particular sample kit. So there's loads of these. And some of them are longer than normal. And some of them are just plain silly. Alright, so we've got a whole bunch of these. That one's taking ages to decay because it's very long. And the cool thing about Impact is that if I just close this for a second, if I double click here, I think it's here I do it. If I go insert part, so what I did there was I just I right clicked and I went to insert part. I'll do that again. Let's come out of that. Let's go into here. And first of all, I'm going to oh, how did I do it? Okay, so first thing we do is we double click and that creates an event. Or you can just do Control P. That's the other way to do it. So if I was to get rid of this, I was to do Control P, and that just opens up this guy here. Now watch what happens when I double click this. You get a much cooler drum editor. This is a new feature. And the cool thing is, if we look at this, it gives you all these diamond shapes, which is what you used to get with earlier versions of Cubase and so on. And this is much tidier than what we've had before. We've never had a drum editor before, so this is really cool. Something else that's new. So we're going to do an insert instrument part, which is handy, and that gets you the drum editor or the musical editor. But you can also do this. This is one of the brand new major features that was requested. Insert pattern, and this is very cool. We have a pattern editor, which is a little bit like a step sequencer, and you can change these note values. At the moment, it defaults to 16ths. So I've changed now the global resolution to 8th note. So when I can put in all of my sounds however I want them to go. I can either do it by mouse or I can do it by keyboard as well, probably. But let's give this a play and see what this is like. Turn that off. Okay, it doesn't sound particularly great. But really, I'm not really this kind of musician. I'm not really into this kind of style of programming. But for some of you guys that are really into this and you use this kind of style of step sequencing a lot, this is going to be fantastic for you. And this is very exciting. Like I say, I don't really use this very much, but this is extremely cool. The pattern editor, being able to put in your sequences how you want them with different sounds, different effects, however you want it arranged. You can do it using the pattern editor. You can change these note values. Maybe I can change this one to quarter notes here. Yes, I can change this one to quarter notes here. And this will be on every beat of the bar. So now this is going to be on, this sound is going to be on every beat of the bar. And you can change this to whatever you want. And you can add swing, you can gate, you can have different accent values. You can increase the number of steps. So at the moment I've got it 16, but you can have it up to 32, 48 or 64. You can have loads. So it's pretty cool, and then you can loop this as much as you want. And you can either use Impact XT or Sample 1. So you can bring in samples from Sample 1 and create another pattern. It's very, very cool. So let's have Sample 1 open, and let's just add a track. And I'm going to play a chord on the Rhodes, and we're going to mess about with it. Let's just play some jazzy, Rhodesy style chords. And now let's see what we get from our Sample 1, which I think I need to have in monitor mode. And of course there's a big long gap there because I was trying to get positioned, and there's a big long gap at the end there. So now, why is it not playing? It does change speed when you're lower down, but I think there's probably a way in which you can change that. And so there you go. And so this is the updated and brand new Sample 1. And as I say, you can use this to create your loops and so on and so forth. You can change all the mapping. You can play about with the envelopes. It's all very, very cool. and then you can also create patterns with it, which is even more cool. Alright, so there you go. Pattern, editing, sample 1, Impact XT, sample 1, newly updated chord track, and of course, I've not shown you the next big feature, really, of the GUI. I don't think I did anyway. Because now you can change the appearance. I probably should have shown you this at the beginning. You can go ultra light if you want to. I'm going to show you this. This is actually very cool. If I go to light scheme, is it light scheme? And go to default light. There it is. Watch this. Boom. If I go OK, you can now have Studio One to look really bright and really grey if you want to. This is a little bit like Studio One 2. You can have it like that if you really want to. And of course you can change it to anything else. There's lots of different color options that you've got in the default light one. And then of course you've got some of these as well. So you've got lots of different options. You've got the default, which is really dark, which is a little bit like what we have currently with Studio One 3. And then this is how I have it, which is kind of not quite so dark, but not necessarily completely in your face bright. And this is how I like to use it. Alright, so there we go. Studio One 4.0 is finally here, and some of these are some of the features. And as I say, I'm going to go into a lot more detail with chord track, with sample 1, Impact XT, and I'm also going to go into a lot more detail on pattern editing and the new drum editor and some of the other features as well, which I've not got to in this video because of the sake of time. Alright, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.